neglected. Okay, so then without further ado, we will start our very exciting program. I turn over the mic to Peter Monis.
Thank you very much. And I do have a mic to be turned over. Shalom Aleichem, everyone. So we have the response back. If I can hear you, Aleichem Shalom. Perfect.
Aleichem Shalom, Peter.
Okay, thank you. Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos to one and all. I feel we have a program tonight where you may finally meet a person you've sort of known him for years through his words and music. That's Abe Mandel. Now, this won't be a comprehensive look at the music and life of Abe, but an overview, may I say, an appetizer, a Vorspeise, a little something to nibble out for a future time. We can get more details and more into it. So tonight we'll introduce you to Abe Mandel, major part of our community, the TCC community. So Semek, if you'll show that first picture of Abe, so we can actually now, for many of us, see a face that goes to the music. It's a, can that be enlarged a little bit? Kind of small here, but that's Abe in a, I guess, 1970s black and white photo. But we have Mickey, his wife and partner in music and life, and also their daughter Lonnie here to clarify a few things along the way. So looking at that photo, you may ask, like Tevye would do, who is this Abe Mandel? Why should we know of him and more about him? That can be answered in not one word. Abe was a man of many parts, not only the several instruments he played, but as a teacher, musician, performer, educator, husband, and grandfather. From what we, meaning I, have gleaned from many sources, he was a mensch, a very musical mensch. We can take the picture off now. We'll come back to it a little later. Thank you. So Abe was born in 1942 and raised in the Bronx with family roots in Russia and the Ukraine, which is again in the news, of course. Abe attended Manhattan School of Music, graduated from Hunter College, and graduate work at CCNY. It was noted by Rabbi Peter Schweitzer, officiating at Abe's funeral and memorial, that Abe as a youngster was inspired by Roy Rogers. He also wanted to be a singing cowboy. Well, we're now going to compress the story a bit and move along to other aspects later in life. Along the way of teaching, performing, he met his love of his life, and we have her tonight, Mickey, which we'll meet her later. And they created a team that recorded together, lived together, and created a family together. And as I mentioned, we'll have Lonnie a little later and Mickey to talk and join us. Eventually, along with all his teaching and all his abilities, he became a vital participant of a young fledgling congregation in Manhattan that was different from all other congregations. Why was it different? Origin story. The City Congregation for Secular Humanistic Judaism was founded by Myrna Baron, and originally they met in people's homes at first, creating liturgy and music, but eventually through a surprising and unexpected event led to creating the musical sound and soul that we have today. So tonight, we're going to celebrate not everything, but give you a nice taste, we hope, of the life of Abe Mandel. He would recently have been 80 years old. Abe died in Abe died in May of 2000 at 57. Now, here, many years later, through the technology of Zoom, which he probably couldn't envision, but knowing what I gather of him, he probably could. We look at TCC's man of music, Abe Mandel. So just to start off with that next picture, Semek, before I introduce Rebecca, I think we have a nice color picture, if I'm not correct, or if I'm not mistaken. It could be black and white. So while that's being formulated, I'll introduce Rebecca. So Rebecca, you heard earlier, and she's been our current song leader for TCC for some time. Once again, can that be opened up and made full picture rather than with that strip? Semek, if you work on that. If you can't, don't worry. So you saw Rebecca earlier, and she's now going to sing Seasons, a song we don't hear often, but I think you'll find it refreshing after some time not hearing it. Rebecca?
Time for winter, a time for spring, a time to celebrate, a time to sing, a time for summer, a time for fall, a time to enjoy life, one and all, a time to enjoy life, one and all. Over and over, round and round, seasons fade into seasons found. Over and over, round and round, the cycles of nature safe and sound. Cycles of nature safe and sound. Again and again, it's nature's way. Time for planting brings time to play, a time to sow and a time to reap, a time to awaken, a time to sleep, a time to awaken, a time to sleep. It started long before we were here, on and on it goes year by year. It matters not the reason why, we treasure each gift of earth and sky. We treasure each gift of earth and sky. A time for winter, a time for spring, a time to celebrate, a time to sing, a time for summer, a time for fall, a time to enjoy life, one and all, a time to enjoy life, one and all.
Thank you, Rebecca. Rebecca, do you have any feelings or thoughts when you perform that song, or even any other of the Mandel songs that you can share with us?
Yeah. So, what I would say is, I'm a music teacher, and what I tell my students all the time is that there are so many different ways that we can learn a new song. We can learn a new song by reading sheet music. We can learn a new song by, these days, looking it up on YouTube, which is how a lot of my students learn new songs. We can learn new songs by ear. And we can sort of use any combination of these ways of learning new songs to sort of acquire songs in our repertoire. And some of the Abe songs that I know, I've learned through a combination of notation and hearing them around in the community. So that's how I learned this one. Because I've only been at City Congregation since 2013. So I never overlapped with Abe or with anybody whose names are really on any of these compositions. So most of these songs I've learned through notation and through hearing them sung. And the song that I'm most excited to sing this evening is One Chorus, One Family, which is coming up later, because that's one I learned completely by ear. I've never seen notation for it. And I think I would have to imagine that for a songwriter, one would hope for there to be people who are singing their songs only by ear, because that means that the songs are being sung. They're being used out in the world. They're a part of people's daily lives. They're a part of our celebrations, a part of our holidays. And that the way that we learn them is by hearing people sing them and singing them the way we think we hear them. And so that's the riskiest one, because I might not even be playing it right, because I've never seen it notated. But it's the one I'm most excited to share, and the one that's most special to me, because I've learned it by hearing it in the community. So that's coming up later.
Thank you. We'll be able to you'll be able to express yourself again a little later. So now we're going to move over to another chapter of reflection. We're going to have Susan Ryan say some excerpts from Myrna Barron's eulogy at Abe's memorial and funeral. And if Susan is ready, please share those words of Myrna Barron for us, please.
When we were still a very small, very young congregation, Mickey responded to an ad in a parent newspaper. It was perhaps the very first time we advertised there. I remember so clearly that she said, "We're music teachers, maybe we can help." We quickly understood that she was right. They could help and we could offer them something as well. Mickey and Abe began to teach music at our kids' school. They provided music at our high holidays, at Hanukkah. And all along, they were building our congregation. They made the congregation a priority in their lives. They volunteered an immense amount of time. He schlepped instruments and sound systems. In those early days, throughout our friendship, Abe believed in what we were trying to build. He believed in the message and he believed in its importance. And in much the same way, I have heard his students and family talk about how he encouraged them and believed in them. I felt the same encouragement, guidance, and support. I did not need to play an instrument to have Abe be my cheerleader. Blair, Myrna's daughter, who was almost 11 at the time of Abe's death, said at the time, doesn't remember a time when she didn't know Abe. She said that his death was like losing a member of the family. She's right. He was like family to so many of us. Maybe Mickey knew when she called me about the city congregation, the kind of commitment she and Abe would bring to an organization. We sure didn't know what we would be getting from them, for our congregation, for my family, and for myself. Those are Myrna Barron's words.
Do you have anything you'd like to share, Susan?
I do actually. We joined the congregation maybe 2 or 3 years before Abe died. We didn't get to know him that well, but because James was not in kids' school at that time. He was only 2 years old when Abe died. But the music has always been there. When our son became the Shabbat and kids' school song leader, he was singing Abe's songs. He learned them. He still knows them. I think that if he had met Abe, they would have gotten along very well because James plays guitar, and I think that they would have found common ground to talk and about music. Also, I'm grateful that Mickey and Abe and their family were members of City Congregation. They were among the first people that we met when we joined. To this day, we're all still good, really good friends. I love Abe and Mickey and their family very much. And this place would not have been the same if they hadn't been there when we showed up. So I'm grateful for that. And I'll always remember Abe. I wish I'd known him longer, and I will always remember him with fondness and love.
Thank you very much, Susan. Appreciate it. Now we will know how. Now we know how he and Mickey joined the congregation, and if we can believe or would believe such a shidduch gemacht in Himmel, a match made in heaven, which is not what we're going to talk about, but here it was. There it was. Abe and Mickey, with all their personal schedules and life's energy, put a lot of their heart and talent. They became involved, dedicated, and as indicated, warm, fast friends with congregation folk, as Susan and we'll see other people will attest to. Another memory of those early creative years were recently recalled at high holiday services by Molly Avila. Molly, now newly married, Mazel Tov, very belated, I'm sure everyone will say that too, as of last summer, will once again share with us those early years of establishing what we often hear on Fridays and holidays in our services. Molly?
Hi, everyone. So yeah, my family, we joined in 1997, very long time ago. And so here's what I'll say. For me and my family, one of the people who typified those early years for us in the late 90s in City Congregation was Abe Mandel. With his beloved wife, Mickey, they were our congregation's first song leaders, and his daughter, Lonnie, was and still is a very dear friend. I remember my first impression of Abe being akin to that of like a big, you all saw the photos, a big warm bear. He was so warm. His embrace was so warm. He kind of scooped you up into this loving sense of music and laughter and kindness and warmth. And in middle school, when young people can be really unkind, Lonnie was just such a loving soul. And it was very clear to me that her lovingness and her kindness came from her parents, and especially from her dad. So 2 brief memories, which I shared at Yom Kippur this year. First, I remember sitting at the pizza place around the corner from VCS in the late 90s with our Rabbi Emeritus, Peter Schweitzer, and Abe. as they try to find a new tune for our humanistic prayers or blessings or whatever we want to call them. And Lonnie and I were sitting at one table, and then Peter and Abe were sitting at the other, and they were like coming up with the tune together, and they were like, they were praying together, and it was so silly because we're at this modern pizza place, but they were singing these songs, and they had no shame. It was so beautiful, and it was so like it was so earnest, and that was very much Abe, right? It was so earnest. And the other memory is always going to be Passover. And we got the call that we were losing him. And I know he would have been so proud. Sorry. I know he would have been so proud of who Lonnie has become as a mother.
Thank you very much. I almost feel I was in that pizza place. Many of us may have felt that way, how a song began or a song is born, but it obviously was not only born, but lived and thrived and still growing and growing up. Thank you very much. Trying to transition from that. Well, we've been talking a lot about Abe and Mickey and music. Now it's the time to hear some more music in a different, I don't want to say key or a different light, but Abe not only wrote tunes and words with Mickey and often Peter Schweitzer, but he also took classic songs and changed them to fit TCC's sensibility or sensitivity. For example, we're going to have Dan Wyman come up to the bima here, our virtual bima, and play a song, and he'll introduce it and maybe a few thoughts about the song and maybe the legacy of Abe, according to Dan. Dan, please.
Yeah, thanks. It's really wonderful to be here with you, celebrating great soul who I also unfortunately never met, but sure feel like I know him through his music and through all of you. I'm going to sing "Hold On," which, if you know it, you probably know it as "Keep Your Eyes on the Prize," a song coming out of the Civil Rights Movement, which is itself a reworking of a Black gospel hymn, "Keep Your Hand on the Plow." And very much in that tradition of reworking songs, Abe reworked it as a kind of a humanist anthem, humanist spiritual, maybe we could say. Yeah, I'll just share before that, I guess. I'm going to be singing A for Re again. We sang it in the service, but I'll sing it later. And yeah, that to me is a song that I really always feel one of the powers of it is, what is a community? It's the ties we feel to each other. And in singing that my hope and strength is in me, but it's also in you. We sing to each other. But I've also talked with other people, and I feel this myself, sitting next to Marcella in the high holidays, squeezing the hand of a family member, someone you're close to, a partner, a friend, just thinking about them, someone maybe who's gone, someone who's far away. That it's a song that not only celebrates connection, but you really feel it when you're singing it. And I've always really appreciated that about that song. I think it says something about Abe, probably. This is "Hold On." Everybody is born alone, from the womb to the cold unknown. Find a light in the night. Hold on. We're given very little time to spend. Got to use it until the end. Find the light in the night. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Find a light in the night. Hold on. Everybody grows and learns to play at the game of life in their own way. Find a light in the night to hold on. Live your work, it can see you through. In the end, it'll speak for you. Find a light in the night to hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Find a light in the night. Hold on. Everybody must die alone. In the end, we are on our own. Find a light in the night. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Find a light in the night. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Find a light in the night. Hold on.
Thank you very much, Dan. Lovely. Very nice. Well, luckily, we do have recordings. And last summer, just to let you know, a record company contacted Mickey about releasing their records. And Mickey worked with them on with the record company on the liner notes to reflect their history. And here, not from that reissue, but an earlier CD compilation, we have a sound clip of One Chorus, One Family with Abe and Mickey singing. And if I have this right, Abe is doing multi-track of his various instruments, which he played many. I think it's more than just the kazoo, right, Mickey? It's a lot more. So, Semic, if you can play that clip that we worked on securing yesterday, about a minute into it, so we get a taste, please.
Human spirit, human mind, part of humanity. Bring us all together as one. We are part of one great family. And the family sings in one chorus, part of one world symphony. Though the sun life began before us, we each had our own harmony. So sing out and rejoice, we're part of one great chorus. Each voice has its own harmony. Oh, every child is born to sing. We all add our voice in time. Words and deeds are lyrics we bring to the music, rhythm, and the rhyme. Each beat of your heart adds a measure to the lives of a growing melody. So sing out, rejoice, you are a part of one chorus and one family. How glorious to be a part of one great chorus and part of one great family.
Thank you. So that's Abe and Mickey in a recording. We'll get the exact year, I hope, maybe from Lonnie or Mickey. But now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Ann Schoenbrunn, who was city congregation song leader for many, many years. And I don't want to do another many, but that'll be too much icing on the cake. But she kept the heart and sound of Mickey and Abe's work and song. Ann will now read some thoughts from Michigan's Rabbi Miriam Jiris on what's one song has done and still does for the secular humanistic movement. Ann, please.
Well, thanks first to Peter for inviting me to participate in celebrating Abe and his music. When we first joined the city congregation over 25 years ago, also in 1997, I had the pleasure of listening to the beautiful music that Mickey and Abe played together as song leaders of our congregation. One strong memory from that time that I have of Abe is that of me asking if I might sing a song with him for the high holidays. He very tenderly but firmly said, "I only sing with Mickey." It was clear to me then that music was their love language. After his death, I became the song leader for TCC for over 20 years. I can only hope that I served their music well. Now I'm going to read a remembrance sent by Rabbi Miriam Jerris on the significance of Abe and Mickey's version of A for Ori. Rabbi Miriam Jerris, for those who don't know, currently serves as rabbi for the Society of Humanistic Judaism and is a friend of the city congregation. She writes, "I never met Abe Mandel, but I was familiar with the music he and Mickey created for TCC. The movement has benefited from their many contributions. The words of A for Ori, Where is My Light, the theme song of Humanistic Judaism, were written by Rabbi Sherwin Wine, the original music by Dorian Samuels. It was not long after Abe wrote the new music to A for Ori that it became the most popular rendition in the movement. Although I am aware of at least 3 other versions of the A for Ori music, the one written by Abe is by far the most preferred and celebrated. Before Rabbi Wine retired, it was adopted by the Birmingham Temple as the favored version and is still used today every week in the Shabbat service at the Congregation for Humanistic Judaism of Metro Detroit, formerly the Birmingham Temple. Abe's music for A for Ori is a treasured gift he gave to the movement and a part of his great musical legacy. We are forever grateful. Rabbi Miriam Jerris.
Thank you, Ann. Any quick last thoughts about after reading that publicly instead of reading it alone and quietly? Did it sound different?
No, it didn't sound different.
Okay.
Rabbi Jerris, though she never met Abe, was a fan, and she certainly has been a significant part of and friend to the congregation. So these words, I think, are just beautifully heartfelt, and it shows what a long reach his music, their music, has had in this movement.
Thank you. Well, since we just talked about A for Ori and of memory, although it was sung earlier in the service, I call on Dan, but I call on him now to sing, to hear it hopeful in a little different way, A for Ori. Dan?
Sure. Where is my light? My light is in me. Where is my hope? My hope is in me. Where is my strength? My strength is in me and in you, and in you. Where is my strength? My strength is in me and in you, and in you. A for Ori, O Ribi. A for Tikpati, Tikpati be. A for Koki, Koki be. Vegamba, Vegamba. A for Koki, Koki be. Vegamba, Vegamba.
Thank you. Any last thoughts about that song, even though you referred to it earlier? Any?
No, I mean, it's just clear. And again, what Miriam Jerris has written, it's just a song that I think we hear it and it just hits us so deep in our core, and we find it so emblematic of what this movement means to us, what this community means to us. It's just a wonderful song.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I hopeful people may have heard that in a different way than from within the service, but outside of the service may give you a different pause for thought on it. So since we're talking about, and we've met some family and we'll be meeting more family, I think it's a good time for Rebecca to sing a song dealing with family in the song One Chorus, One Family. And if she has any other thoughts on that song, even though we just heard a recording of it.
Yeah.
Rebecca?
So yeah. I'm here.
Okay.
Um, So, like I mentioned before, what this one represents to me personally is the way that Abe's music and Abe and Mickey's music have kind of taken on a life of its own within the congregation, and so many of these songs, people are learning by hearing others sing them, and we end up interpreting and reinterpreting them. I found out that my rendition of A4E is different from renditions in the Midwest, and that we do it at City Congregation differently from they do it down south. And I think that speaks to the magic of the music, that it has so become a part of what we do in the movement, that it like has evolved. So human spirit, human minds, heart of humanity, bring us all together as one. We are part of one great family, and our family sings in one chorus. We are part of one world symphony, though the song of life began before us. We each add our own harmony, so sing out and rejoice. We're part of one great chorus. Each voice adds its own harmony. Every child is born to sing. We all add our voice in time. Words and deeds are lyrics we sing to the music, rhythm, and the rhyme. Each beat of your heart adds a measure to life's ever-growing melody. So sing out, rejoice, we are a part of one chorus and one family. How glorious to be a part of one great chorus and part of one family. How glorious to be a part of one great chorus and part of one family.
Thank you, Rebecca. And here's to Mishprocha. What can I say? It's definitely all very family. Well, we come to a part of the program now that we can actually meet. It's been a long time for meet and greet, but we're going to actually meet Lonnie and Mickey. So I'm going to, at this point, introduce Lonnie first. She gets to go first. But Mickey, if you want to intertwine and work with Lonnie, apparently you're a good act and maybe a tough act to follow. But Lonnie, any thoughts about tonight or your father and the world and TCC in a few moments? And then we can see what Mickey has to say, if she concurs or rejects anything.
Absolutely. Well, first off, just thank you all so much for your heartwarming stories and shares. And I do have a little note myself I'd love to share with you all. I wanted to thank you all for joining the special Shabbat service honoring my parents' musical contributions to the TCC and SHJ movement. This program means so much for me, my mom, and our family. And I remember when we found the City Congregation, Myrna was our first connection. And through her, we could see that this was the perfect community for us. And my parents were so excited that I could have a secular Jewish education and eventually have a truly meaningful bat mitzvah. So that was wonderful. And my parents became the song leaders, created a music program for the kids' school, which of course my mom will touch on it more thoroughly. But I have great memories of after school meetings, which Molly already touched on. And it included this pizzeria. And my parents and TCC friends, Peter and Myrna, would meet at this local pizzeria and they would spend hours on songs and lyrics. And it was always really fun. And it's just one of my most fond memories. It's amazing to know that my parents' music transcended beyond our own congregation and is used throughout the movement. I am so happy that they have this body of work to serve as a legacy for us and humanistic Judaism. So
Thank you very much.
And here's my mom.
Let me just ask you a quick song, Lonnie. Do you have a favorite song?
Honestly, my close personal favorite is One Chorus, One Family. I just thought the melody and the lyrics are so perfect together and really just uniquely tell the story of, I don't know, I feel like us almost, like as a family, as a congregation. I just feel like it's so perfect. It's like an anthem. So that's how I connect to it, and that's why it's my favorite.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you.
Hard to pick.
Okay, I know it's like one of your children. It's hard to pick the favorite. I know everybody's gonna groan when I say that or support that. So Mickey, hello. We've talked about this for almost a year, and since last summer at least. So anything you want to say here?
Actually, a lot of what I might have said has been said, and then she said a lot of what I would have said. But I'll just skip the parts that have been already said. We're so grateful that you guys got this program together. It's so meaningful for us after all these years. You can't imagine how surprised we were when we first heard about it and how grateful we are that you were able to do it. When I was listening to the speakers for a moment, it seemed like they knew more about our history than I do. I mean, they really understood what was going on, especially you, Peter, of course. And as you heard, Abe was passionate about, the congregation and the movement, and most of all, the members and the leaders who became extended family to us. They were truly an extended family for years and years and years. Such an important part of our lives. Abe was very talented, a brilliant musician. He played 30 instruments, but he was also a great collaborator in life and in music. He made things happen. And he brought out the best in everyone. He used to tell me that every great movement had to have great music, civil rights. Music moves us, and pulls us together. So he said at one point, we need an anthem. And that was what sparked me. And that's what happened. We eventually agreed that what I had done was an anthem. So
You're talking about Where Is My Light being the anthem?
Well, no, actually, One Chorus, One Family is.
Oh, that was the first initial.
He was the one who told me we need an anthem. And I thought about it and I thought, gotta have an anthem. So that's what sparked me to write that. Thank you. How lucky we were to have had him in our lives and inspire us and allow us to grow and allow his legacy to be part of our lives. And we thank you so much for joining us.
Our pleasure. One question I think I may have asked you, but every songwriter or musician said, and you can answer in your own unique way, Mickey, what comes first, the music or the lyrics? To you and Abe.
That's very interesting. It changed. Sometimes it was, we had the words to a re, and we worked a melody around it so that was the words first. But with One Chorus, One Family, I had been working on it for a while, the melody. And Abe actually inspired me because he said we need an anthem and that melody. So that's how that happened. So then it was really the melody that I put to the music, the lyrics.
Very nice. So we're going to start winding down here. Don't let anyone go. We have another surprise coming up. And then we're going to have hopefully another sort of surprise, but we'll take one step at a time. I don't want to put the cart before the horse here. So any last minute things you want to also add, Lonnie, before we move to the next section, or we're all talked out?
No, I not that I'm all talked out, but I feel like everyone has said so many beautiful sentiments, and I just echo everything that everyone has been saying. And I'm truly just honored that you all are doing this program to commemorate and tribute my father and his body of work and my mother's body of work. It's really, it means a lot.
Can I just reference what you have behind you and Mickey? Can you reference that for a
Oh my
second?
goodness. Yes. So
And I'm not trying to look for a certain angle here. I'm just looking about the whole picture, family and
the full
events.
circle. No, it's a full circle
Circle
thing.
of life.
So behind us, actually, I have our huppah that Renee Fields actually made. Your late wife, Peter's late wife. She was beyond a dear friend. She was family. One of the first friends we made
yes.
at the congregation. She was, I mean, I can't do her justice. She was just
she was a
amazing.
force.
She was a force. She was amazing. She's beyond missed. But this lives on in our home, in our hearts. We were married under this. My children asked me recently, what is it? And I said, Mommy and Daddy were married under this because a very good friend named Renee made it. She sewed it. She took a long time and she by hand made this beautiful piece. And they said, wow. So that's, it's full circle. I mean, my children are now asking about it. I'm going to hand it down to them. When they get married, they can use it. It's a beautiful circle of life.
Yeah.
And just saying, and just having it, Ani lo do di li, I'm my beloved, and my beloved is mine. I'm going to expand that you're also as a community, our beloved. And I think you've offered some of your warmth back to us, which is extremely enriching. So thank you for your time, your support, and all your efforts, and your family, just your family alone. So we're going to end. Before we end, I just want to thank Semic for the technical assistance, Kathy for her technical work too, our readers and sources, Susan Ryan, Myrna Barron, and Schoenbrunn, Molly Avila, and talents of Rebecca Schwartz and Dan Wyman, and of course, Lonnie Mandel Scott, and Mickey Mandel herself for just simply being with us and being here, and all of their ideas and follow-ups. So we're going to end with Dan Wyman singing a song I'm going to call This Little Light of His, to reference Abe. Of course, it's This Little Light of Mine. So we'll close with that song, and I'll just do a quick one line after that. And we stay on. So after the official program, and we can have a virtual Onig and Schmooze, and you can talk among ourselves. So Dan, will you close us out with this?
I hope you'll all sing along this one. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All across this great wide world, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, all across this great wide world, I'm gonna let it shine. All across this great wide world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Now Mickey and Abe are mighty bright lights, their music helps us shine. Oh, Mickey and Abe are mighty bright lights, their music helps us shine. Mickey and Abe, they're mighty bright lights, their music helps us shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Thank you. Thank you. With those lyrics, I didn't expect, and therefore I don't think anybody expected. And that was absolutely wonderful. Wunderbar. Thank you very much, Dan. And I'll say good night and thanks to everyone. Good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom. And we'll conclude the program right here, right now. Again, thank you. We'll be back in a few moments.
Thank you so much, Peter. This was awesome. This was such a moving tribute to such a integral part of our congregational experience. It was I of course came, so much after Abe, and still I see his name pretty much every day because I look at the liturgy so often. So thank you very, very much for offering this tribute.
Yes. Thank you so much, Peter.
No, you're very welcome. Oh, so are we, before Deb, Semek, are we officially stopping the program now? We can go into open. Okay. So, okay, Deb, what's up?
Hi. No, I just wanted to say hi to Mickey and Lonnie. It's wonderful to see you tonight. I wish it was in person. And I wanted